This is the left side. This is the right
side. Jeff Martin, thanks for being back for part 2 of this 2000s emo deep dive and winner take all single elimination tournament. Glad to have you here.
Thanks, Dan. Delighted to be back.
Podcast listeners, this is up on YouTube as well, and we've got like some visuals there. We've got a little bit of we got the bracket with some band logos that I am perhaps inordinately proud of having created.
I like it. Yeah.
I'm gonna share that screen so people can hear or see that rather.
You should be proud.
I appreciate that. I love that you're what's the word I'm looking for? You are very
encouraging,
supportive, encouraging.
Oh, supportive. Yeah,
I do appreciate that.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan and a friend.
I gotta say, I had a really fun time in part 1. A little bit of recap there. So we do have 45 bands participating in this deep dive and tournament, and so we had a bunch of the round 1 matchups. We had Stray Light Run versus the Format. The Format won. We had Appleseed Cast beating Minus the Bear. We had Saves the Day over Owen. Cursive over the Rocket Summer. May over Acceptance. My own beloved Sherwood over the Academy Is, which was like a real culmination of 15 years of feeling lesser than having opened for them. Copeland over the Early November. Further Seems Forever over Head Automatica, and Hot Rod Circuit, the little David versus Goliath, the David in that in these matchups over Spill Canvas.
Wow.
And that's as far as we got.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I once again want to apologize to Nick on that. Those are some tough matchups, and I love using the word tough matchups as if we had to do anything. But they were. Even listening back, I was almost wondering if 2 weeks later Jeff would have chose something different. But hey, here we are, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Well, I'll tell you what's to come is the next round, or the next matchup rather, which is the Get Up Kids versus Deer and the Headlights. Something to say about the Get Up Kids is they will also be in the early emo deep dive and bracket tournament, and for that year setting, that era, Something to Write Home About will be eligible. It is not eligible in this 2000s era.
So we have to go to the next album?
So it's like, I decided to disqualify the song Stay Gone, which was the single off of On a Wire, because it's not emo. It's just not an emo song. It sounds like the Wallflowers, basically, like their take on the Wallflowers. But so I'm pulling from the next record, Guilt Show, and the next popular songs, because they're kind of 50% back to their earlier, more emo, raw sound. Yeah. And I think this is where it is plausibly considered emo again, where it really wasn't. So we're going to be hearing from Guilt Show up against Deer in the Headlights. So from the Get Up Kids, we get The One You Want.
One settles the score, the trip to the floor. Look what we found. Make sense of the scene and keep a routine. Standing on sound. What you waiting for? What you waiting for? Said and done, but it's too late to turn your age around. She's not the one you want. Yeah, it's too late to turn your age around. She's not the one you want. How do you do it? Your back's against the wall. How do you
Okay.
Wow, I forgot about that song.
Yeah. Oh, it's great, dude.
That's a good one.
And it comes up against a song that I like, that I kind of discovered prepping for these episodes, Sweet Talk by Deer and the Headlights.
Over the got your new boyfriend. I bet he likes you more than he likes me, 'cause I'm the forward, he's the latter one. He'd never say it, but it's right. I'm sorry, that was rude of me. Forget I said a thing, but don't forget.
I'm very curious where you're going to
Wow.
go on this, Jeff.
Those were some unbelievably emo lyrics.
Call out some specifics. What are you thinking about?
Almost prototypically. I mean, you got your new boyfriend. I bet he likes you more than he likes me because I'm the former one. Wow.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was very, very surprised by that "Deer in the Headlights" song in a good way.
Pleasantly surprised.
I actually whispered the words "wow" like 3 times while listening to the "Deer in the Headlights" song because I'm actually not super familiar with them, and I thought it was like
Same.
a really cool groove and a really cool kind of, despite me kind of poking at the lyrics a little bit, I thought it was kind of cool. I'm a huge Get Up Kids fan, so but not necessarily. I was almost going to say I can't be held personally responsible for anything after something to write home about.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's a lot of us. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously that album is one of those albums that, probably changed my life in one way or another. But man, if we're just talking about this moment right now, I'm almost leaning towards Deer in the Headlights, which is totally, I almost told you, I was almost going to tell you to skip this round.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know.
Well,
though,
I know.
because the chorus of the Get Up Kids is also really good, and that is a good song.
It's a better chorus. The verse of the Deer in the Headlights song is fire.
better.
It's so
Yeah.
good. I didn't know a ton about that band. They're from Phoenix. Their first record came out on Equal Vision in 2007. I hear a little bit of Manchester Orchestra DNA in there, a little more indie leaning for an emo band.
Yeah.
And that speaks to me for sure.
Yeah.
Get Up Kids, I do think it's a better chorus. And I think it's a really good song, a really smart arrangement.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they wanted to be a more of a kind of a jammy rock band,
Right.
and they went full bore on a wire and alienated a lot of their fans doing that.
Right.
I spoke with Jim about this, by the way, backstage at the Motion City Rejects Newfound Glory show a few months ago, and I asked him about On a Wire. He's like, we were smoking a lot of weed. It's like his
That's
only
so funny.
answer about it.
Yeah.
And they don't play a lot of those songs. I think they did play 1 or 2, and but. But on this record, they're bringing a little bit back to center, and they're doing a lot of stuff right. This one's tough. Like I could go either way. On this.
I'm a little torn, and now I'm like leaning. Now I'm like moving back towards my original feeling. Man, I'm a little torn on this one. But let's go with the Get Up Kids because the chorus is better.
Okay, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
And way to go, Get Up Kids! You are going to be moving on up against no big deal, just a little band called Paramore.
Oh my!
In your next round.
Good luck.
Okay, well, anything else to say about Deer in the Headlights? I found like 4 of their songs through just kind of researching this and shuffling the playlist that I have really enjoyed, and they've been added to my stable.
Yeah. So no, honestly, I'm just going to say that I'll probably check out that album that we just heard from. So that was a very good showing for them. So nice job, guys.
I would say stuff from the next record too, Drunk Like Bible Times, this song, I'm Not Crying, You're Crying, I'm Not Crying, You're Not Crying, Are You? Is also a good song. I'm going to move ahead just because we have so many to get through, but I would definitely recommend that. That track's also on the playlist if people want to just stream the playlist. So next up, the battle to go against Anberlin, and it is your band, Jeff, this day and age, versus something corporate. And since it's your band, that means I have to make this call. I'm not going to make you choose against your own band or for your own band. Nobody would trust the result. We're losing faith in all kinds of institutions in this country right now, and I just got to make sure we have election tournament integrity here.
Yeah, I just accidentally listened to Joe Rogan for the first time in like 3 years, and I'm already now very mistrusting pretty much everything. So I wouldn't.
That's how that can happen.
And that was only after like 37 minutes. So yeah, this is going to be a tough one, and I'm really okay with you picking something corporate. So go. Let's hear the songs.
Okay, something corporate. We get Punk Rock Princess.
Wow.
Maybe when your hair gets darker, maybe when your eyes get wide, maybe when the walls are smaller, there will be more space.
up against Always Straight Ahead by This Day and Age from your album The Bell and the Hammer. Let me just ask you this really quick. I'm not surprised that the top Sherwood song is Song in My Head, like on Spotify.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that this is the top This Day and Age song, or does this track just like that tracks for me?
I'm not surprised it is from The Bell and the Hammer. I think there was a couple other songs from the album before, from Always Leave the Ground, that would probably have been more kind of like crowd favorites when we played live. But that's because we only toured off of Bell and the Hammer just for a year. So
that's right.
But I think I'm more proud of the Bell and the Hammer. So this in that way, this tracks, and I like the song.
Okay, let's hear it. I like it too. Always and Straight Ahead by This Day and Age.
But love is at the door. After all, isn't that what we are here for? Now wanna run to her, but I've already tried, for there is only one cure. 'Cause you feel right, the way you feel when you're leaving on your first flight. You'll never know what's around the bend.
I will say I was never a fan of Something Corporate at the time, even though like in really early Sherwood days, we saw them play at Cal Poly in the Student Union Quad, like a free Thursday afternoon show or whatever. Yeah. And they were fantastic live.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you've ever seen Andrew,
he's good.
He's a showman.
Totally.
But I never got into the records. I tried. I remember listening to it, and it just, I don't know, maybe it was a little silly to me at the time or something. I gotta say, in listening back in preparation for this, like I kind of like that song a lot. It's a pretty smart track.
Yeah, it's a cool song.
And I think I missed the virtues of it, maybe because, I don't know, the way I wanted to see myself or some shit like that. I do really like Always Straight Ahead. It's not my favorite This Day and Age song.
Yeah.
I think though that I just think that the pop chorus in the Something Corporate track, it might be recency bias because it's fun when you discover a song that you do like that you didn't think you would like. And so I don't know if that's helped me, but I think I got to give it just barely.
That's okay. I think my wife would probably choose the same. No, I mean, I love Always Straight Ahead, and you know, I'm still so proud of the Bell and the Hammer album. But no, Something Corporate, totally. Like, I think that album's a lot of fun. I think Andrew is an unbelievable songwriter. But yeah, no, thanks for having us in the tournament, and go listen to the Bell and the Hammer, friends of Dan.
Please do.
Especially John Van Dusen. I would really like John Van Dusen to check it out.
You really want to specifically know what John thinks? John, go listen to Second Star to the Right and get back to me, and I'll pass that on to Jeff.
I didn't expect to say that, but yeah, let's go to the next round.
Hey, you know what? There's nothing embarrassing about some JVD.
No, he's awesome.
Okay, next up, challenging each other to face off against the All-American Rejects are The Almost and Valencia. Of course, The Almost is the side project of Aaron Gillespie of Under Oath, and Valencia, kind of a band I missed out on at the time, but also have been enjoying it and been surprised by that. So let's get to the tracks. From The Almost, we get Say This Sooner.
This makes me feel that I'll never be quite normal. This makes me act like I'll never get out alive. Walk it to act, it makes you all believe me. Watch it to fake and show you all how to play.
up against The Space Between by Valencia.
There's something strange going on in my head. It says if I were to get in a car right now, the Carolinas where I would end, and to your doorstep I would be bound to whisper the words that I've always wanted to say, and watch as the sun rips this blue sky away. Cause the colors are always changing, so stare up at the clouds, and at least you know you're always looking up. So Casey, can you remember sitting by my side on the bank of the Delaware River and talking about life?
What do you think about that, Jeff?
I feel like there was something like a little bit like if Nate had a more emo distant cousin that reminded me of like a more emo Nate there.
My little note that I wrote was, I think that this band sounds like the exact midpoint between Sherwood and Cartel.
100%. Like when I heard that I don't know if that was a chorus or a pre-chorus. I kind of lost track.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, something was reminding me about Sherwood right now. And it might have been the harmonies and something about the songwriting too. But
Yeah.
I kind of like that song. These are two bands that kind of meant nothing to me in one way or another.
Same.
Yeah, like I didn't really have a connection.
Yep.
I like the Delaware River reference in Valencia since I live in Philadelphia
There
area.
you go.
I would say I think I
Exactly.
like the
Yeah.
Valencia song like just a little bit more, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, that's fun. So a kind of a lesser known band pulling a slight upset here over the Almost. Anything to say about the Almost? Do you have a relationship with that band?
Not really, and maybe that's why that song didn't do a whole lot for me. I'm not a huge Under Oath guy. I definitely appreciate what they meant to that post-hardcore world or the hardcore realm.
Right.
But yeah, I wasn't huge into either of his bands, but I know he has some cool stuff. But yeah, I think I give it to Valencia by a little bit.
I love that. I think that's a good choice. Okay, last matchup of round one. These are the bands that did not get a round one bye, and this is Alkaline Trio versus No Motive. Now, Alkaline Trio obviously are generally considered a pop punk band, maybe like a goth pop punk or something like that, probably. But they do lean into emo territory fairly regularly. Even more in their kind of late 90s, early stuff, but really throughout their career, I think they dip in and out. And so I felt comfortable, since I like them so much as a band, like letting their kind of more emo side compete in this tournament. And I ran this by you, and you agreed with me.
I'm 100% on board.
And No Motive, who are from Santa Barbara, a smaller Vagrant Records band from kind of my college days. I wanted them on here, and I also, just like with Hot Rod Circuit, I kind of gave them the choosing my champion treatment and chose their songs that I wanted to make sure we heard, that they got a decent shot here. So we'll see what comes out of that. From Alkaline Trio, we get Calling All Skeletons from Agony and Irony. I believe this was a single.
Now the time has come, I just wish I could erase all the damage done to your name and your keepsakes. Only just begun, it's been fun. We were blind, deaf, and dumb. There's a party in my closet calling all skeletons. All skeletons. Calling where did you go? Once the lights went black, look what's become of me. I've grown to love your disappearing acts to one more pretty please.
Just musically, I mean, that song could have been on the second Taking Back Sunday or third Taking Back Sunday album. Like, that's close enough, right?
I agree. I think that they can find a place in this tournament.
Okay. I really love that song. I also really love this song. This is a track called Only You from No Motive. All the tracks I chose from them are from their Diagram for Healing album. I think this is a great chorus. I'm really curious what you'll think between these two songs. So here's No Motive.
What's the mileage now? The steady pace I see. 'Cause there's a part of me that hasn't been there for a while. And I am hollow, I am bare. But I'll keep going with despair. Because I just wanna go, I just wanna go, I just wanna go. I wanna come home to you so much for this time apart, and I wish we could go back to how things used to be before. And I lost touch with myself, and I'm sorry. I hope we can work it out somehow.
At the danger of putting my thumb on the scale too much here, let me just say that had me right back in 2003 in my Ford Explorer driving down to LA from San Luis Obispo for like shitty weekend shows to try and get our band
to
going.
hand out some little demos.
I have no objectivity here. I came to that Alkaline Trio record like 4 or 5 years after it came out and was like, oh, there's some cool stuff on this. I missed it at the time. Whereas No Motive is like a beeline to my heart. So just cards on the table.
I'm not going to let you necessarily influence me, but Alkaline Trio, and there's a couple bands on this list that I know you like a lot. That we actually typically have pretty similar tastes in a number of ways.
Yeah.
But Alkaline Trio is one of the bands that you and I aren't on the same page on. They never did anything for me.
You just think this guy sucks, and I think I don't know. He's got some good ideas.
He sucks, but he doesn't do anything for me. And maybe I must be
Alkaline Trio are like a Rogan guest that like I'm more open to his theories about JFK than you are.
Did we really imagine talking about Joe Rogan twice? And I feel like it could happen one more time.
It's called a callback.
I love callbacks.
Just seeing what I can do.
So Alkaline Trio, I know I must be missing something because a lot of my friends, over the years love them. And that No Motive song, up until the chorus, was doing nothing for me. But the chorus is so good. It's one of those it's such a good chorus that if you played it for me one more time, I think I could probably sing it and play it back to you, because it's just it's that good. So No Motive wins, and you had nothing to do with it.
I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. I remember also coming to a realization about the kind of work that we were trying to get into doing a band full time, because this dude was our waiter in Santa Barbara one time
on
a trip down there, because they're just from an hour and a half down the road. And that blew my mind. Why is he working at a restaurant? Now, of course, I laugh at that. Of course you did it. Everybody was doing coffee and waiter jobs and all kinds of stuff to pay, flexible jobs so that we could go on tour. I mean, that really was the trope. Right, is that's how you got the flexibility to go out on the road, is you worked hourly jobs that had a big labor pool and could sort of swap other people in while you were gone. Yep. So tons of food service and stuff like that. But yeah, dude, that chorus
really
man,
good.
I think it's so good. That's what. I just want to. I guess they're going to come up in the earlier emo tournament. We're going to get to hear some other Alkaline Trio stuff that is more. That's even more emo that I might even like more from their earlier catalog. But okay, so we are now moving on then. So No Motive, surprise upset over Alkaline Trio.
So we're done with round.
They're going to come up against Dashboard. That is the end of round one, and we are now into round two.
Can't wait.
Yes. So to that end, we are at the number 1 seed, Fall Out Boy, versus The Format, who made it through our first round. And Fall Out Boy is interesting. They have been handicapped a lot from previous tournaments. They've been in multiple episodes, so we're getting a little bit less popular radio single here to start off with, and it's Thanks for the Memories, but with none of the vowels in any of those words. And I like this song.
Well, let's hear it.
Looking forward to the future, where my eyesight is going bad, and this crystal ball, it's always cloudy except for when you look into the past. One night stand, one night stand, one night and one more time. Thanks for the memories, even though they weren't so great. It tastes like you, sweeter. One night, yeah, one more time. Thanks for the memories, thanks for the memories. It tastes like you, sweeter. I only think in the form of crunching numbers.
Okay, and this comes up against From the Format. We already heard the first single and we gushed over it. Now we get a track from their second record, Dog Problems, and this is She Doesn't Get It.
All the girls pose the same for pictures. All the boys got the same girl's hair. Well, I am bored cause I feel much older. Look at me as if I got a reason to stare. But you talk so loud that it calms me down. You're crying, let's make a toast. She says she's leaving on a Sunday. Oh, that leaves me one more night. Can I take you home? I know it's wrong, but I know you're tired. She says she's leaving on a Sunday. I don't care. I need to know where to turn. I tried it once, it never caught on. I was the only one who got burned.
What are you going to do, Jeff?
That little guitar riff plus the line she said she's leaving on a Sunday pretty much took the cake right there.
That does it for
was
you.
That
That's
was
enough.
And
Yeah.
I feel highly overstimulated when I listen to a lot of Fall Out Boy songs.
Oh, yeah. It's packed in there. So much information. Yeah.
So many puns and so many little
I basically have to overlook Pete Wentz's
so much
lyrics
tongue in
entirely.
cheek stuff, and then but also the fact that
Yeah.
it seems like they would need at least 6 vocalists to pull that off. Just with all the the call and answer and all the
That, to be fair, the format would need a band of
That's
8
fair, but
to
I-
play all the.
but I-
Who's playing marimba? Who's on dedicated
I think that we have a
glockenspiel?
couple. I think that someone
you know?
is doing that live.
Well, they did have a big
Yeah,
live band at
no.
that point. I think they were trying to do all those
Listen,
parts.
Fall Out Boy, obviously, they've done wonderful things over the years. I wasn't a huge fan, and that song in particular, I never really liked, and. I was actually worried because I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't really know a whole lot of Format beyond that first album, but I think that was a really good song, and I think Format wins this round. Are you gonna veto me?
Yeah, let's. No, I'm not going to veto you. Let's talk about the Format track first. So, it's such an interesting direction that they went on Dog Problems.
Yeah.
It was. I remember feeling kind of shocked at the time, like. Whoa, this is super ambitious. Right. It's very layered. I thought that was really exciting to me. The idea that you could do more than drums, bass, guitar, acoustic, a little bit of keyboards. Today, when I listen back, it feels overly busy in a lot of parts. But the songwriting on that record is so good that it shines through a kind of crowded and a little bit too lo-fi recording in my current day opinion.
No, I think that's a good summary. And yes, I agree that the songwriting elements that is what kind of makes it rise above some of the noisy parts or busy parts that may have felt a little unnecessary, and even some of the vocal, the couple vocal parts that were just so high and a little much. But
the timbre of his voice can get a little odd, and also the vocals are not compressed enough, and they get oddly loud. It's just a bunch of odd.
But I still think I
Yeah.
like the song more, and in this moment, the Format would win.
Yeah, and I do think you can draw a straight line between this second format album and the first Fun record. You know, obviously it's just Nate. It's not Sam anymore. He brings in Jack and Andrew to make Fun. They have their own histories, their own aesthetics. Obviously, Jack Antonoff now one of the most successful music producers in America. But in Fun, you hear that they must ultimately have been facilitating Nate's vision in that band. Though they did their own things, you know, Andrew and Onafalo and Jack in Bleachers and Steel Train before that. I think that what that format record tells me is that Fun was ultimately about what Nate wanted to do. And in successive releases, that gets more and more grand, you know, maybe culminating in Some Nights, which is like full Queen. You know, but like there's a lot of that on the format record on Dog Problems.
No, I think you can begin to hear that, or even hear in some of that kind of, just the grandness of some of the songs and how that kind of moved towards Fun. But I thought. In
fact, I want to play a little clip to make this clear. Just if people haven't heard that first, you know, everybody knows We Are Young. A lot of people know Some Nights and Carry On, but they did have a record before that. And my favorite Fun track is from that record. It's called All the Pretty Girls. And just listen, like, you know, the kind of, it's all organic instrumentation. Actually, this came out in 2009. I wonder is Fun emo? I don't know. They maybe could have made it into this bracket. I'm not sure. We already have them here with the format. But let's hear a little bit of All the Pretty Girls, and I think people will hear this connective tissue that I'm talking about.
All the pretty girls on a Saturday night. So I call your name, cross my fingers, uncross the others, hesitate. Oh, I don't think straight with nothing to prove. I don't wanna say I'm leaving. I will stay until the weekend. You can take all the things, the boxes and rings, and keep going.
Anyway, you hear it.
I totally hear
it. Yeah. So that's fun. All right, the format. Taking out Fall Out Boy. Let's talk about Fall Out Boy for a minute here before we kick them to the curb, before we thank them for the memories. Do you have any Fall Out Boy songs that you particularly like?
I mean, maybe that's why it's not fair. Really. Like I like what was their album, like Take This to Your Grave or something? What was the one that was a little early?
Yeah, like the pop
like
punk
that felt a little bit more like
on,
it just felt like more like pop punk. It felt like they weren't putting on this whole like we're superstars kind of thing. But honestly, I like Take This to Your Grave, and after that wasn't a huge fan. I remember, you know, I've met them a couple times here and there at shows. They being from Chicago when we toured with Punchline, and they knew each other. I think they were label mates. They came out to our show with Punchline in Chicago, and they were super nice guys, even for how big they were and are. But yeah, just didn't listen to them a ton.
Yeah, I don't really know them personally. I've met a couple of them once, and I know people who have worked for them who speak highly of them. I think Joe has been interesting. He wrote a book about kind of touring and being in the band and mental health issues, and I really do. It's like None of This Is Fun or something like that. Wow. I really want to read that book. He did a really interesting interview with, I believe it was on. Was it on 60 Songs that explained the 90s, or was it something else? I don't know. Something with Rob Harvilla, I think. And so I'm curious about that. You know, we never toured with them or anything. I like the chorus of Thanks for the Memories. I do like a lot of their stuff. I like tracks from most of their records, but I like I said, I have to really just kind of ignore the lyrics and all the. It's kind of try hard, I think is probably the term I would use. But, you know, my favorite band is the Beach Boys, so I'm very practiced at ignoring lyrics.
That's true. That's a good point.
And just focusing on the music. So that's not that hard for me to do. Okay, format goes on.
Let's
Look
go.
at that. Just bringing their A game. So next up, Plain White Tees versus the Starting Line. And from Plain White Tees, now we're not doing Hey There Delilah. That could be conceived of as a emo song, but it's just an acoustic ballad. It's just an acoustic pop song. And most of their big songs then kind of like the big radio songs that end up with a lot of Spotify plays are, like that and don't really fit. They can't really compete in this emo format. So we get this song, Our Time Now, which is next, and it's fine. I think there are songs of theirs that I like a lot more, but this is what we're going to get for the tournament, thanks to the Spotify listeners.
Here we go.
There will be no rules tonight. If there were, we'd break them. Nothing's gonna stop us now. Let's get down to it. Nervous hands and anxious smiles. I can feel you breathing. This is right where we belong. Turn up the music. Oh, 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 oh. This is the dance for all the lovers. Taking a chance for one another. Finally, it's our time now. These are the times that we'll remember. Breaking the city's heart together. Finally, it's our time now. It's our time now.
And, like in a World Series, how each team will start their number one starting pitcher in game one to have the best chance to win the first game, right? And they match up their two
I see
aces.
what's about to happen here.
Okay, but then maybe sometimes for instance, because of being involved in previous tournaments and songs not really matching that emo category, they end up going with their fifth starter, but then the other team still sends out Clayton Kershaw or Madison Bumgarner or Ohtani or something. And that's what the starting line is doing. They're just here, take Nolan Ryan. Here's our track,
It's
The
over.
Best of Me.
On two separate beds, writing phone lines, sweet off familiar voice, a picture drawn from memory. We reflect on miscommunications and misunderstandings, and missing each other too much too without to let go. Turn our music down and we whisper. Say what you're thinking right now. Tell me what you thought about when you were gone and so alone. The worst is over. You can have the best of me. We got older, but we're still young. We never grew out of this feeling that we won't give up.
Should I be embarrassed by how much I love that song? Should I actually take
No.
stock of my
Not at all.
life due to
No.
my enthusiasm
I
of that
think,
song?
and listen, I'm having a hard time remembering some of the songs we've heard the first time around, but I think that might be the best chorus we've heard so far. Maybe?
It's got to be up there.
It could be one of the best choruses we hear in
oh.
the whole tournament.
Honestly, this song could have been a candidate for going all the way if it was just songs and not bands that competed.
It is so
It
good.
is a perfect. I thought this at the time when I was 19 or 20. This is a perfect expression of an 18-year-old boy's life. And the fact that Kenny was 18 or
he was
so
young,
when he wrote it. It is not an older person aiming for the bullseye of an 18-year-old's emotions. It's an 18-year-old aiming for the bullseye of his own emotions. And it is almost akin to saying don't speak for black people, let them speak for themselves. It's almost in that world for me of when Sugar Cult or Newfound Glory on newer record, when these bands try and go back and capture, I'm not calling any particular song out, but you can't go back in the same way. It isn't the same. And he had so much talent at a young age that it's this magical thing that he was able to do of like just express this thing. Obviously, the expression of 18-year-olds' love interests and foibles or whatever is not as important as the expression of Black Americans or whatever. I don't mean it in that sense, but I just mean of like horse's mouth, like straight from the source. And that's always what's been powerful to me about this band, because he was young and doing it in real time.
And the Plain White Tees song, not only was I not, I know you're friends with some of those guys, but I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the band. I remember we played a couple like one-off shows with them, before they blew up, and they were nice. But that starting line, this is an absolute annihilation in this round. It's devastating to the Plain White Tees.
And I love this song so much, and I have a favorite part of this song, which, as you said, might be the best chorus we've heard, might be one of the best choruses in the entire tournament of all the songs we're going to hear. And yet, my favorite part of this song is the instrumental re-intro after the second chorus. Why does it work?
I don't know.
That's the kind of thing we would usually not put in, because it's like it feels bloated. But listen to this.
I will.
Listen to the
really
going into this thing.
This.
We're still young. We never grew out of this feeling that we won't give
It shouldn't work as good as it does. I don't understand
so good. And I wonder if John Van Dusen would agree.
Look at you with the callbacks. Now you're in the callback chair.
That was good. That was such a good song.
All right. So good. Okay. Well, Plain White Tees, a couple of them personal buddies of mine, especially Mike. If you want to hear me and Mike have a lot of fun, Mike is very funny. We did an emo/punk radio scene tournament where we only played radio singles by emo and punk bands for that tournament. And that's about a year ago, maybe, in the podcast feed, and super fun. So next up, Manchester Orchestra versus the Appleseed Cast, who again got in by beating Minus the Bear. From Manchester Orchestra, we get I Can Feel a Hot One.
I can feel my heartbeat taking me down. For the moment I would sleep alright. I'm veiny with a selfish fear to keep me up another restless night, another restless night. Your blood was dry, it was sober, the feeling of audible cries. And I could tell it was over from the curtains that hung from your neck. And I realized that then you were perfect, with my teeth ripping out of my head. And it looked like a painting I once knew, back when my thoughts were not entirely intact. So I prayed for what I thought were angels, ended up being ambulances. And the Lord showed me dreams of my daughter. She was crying inside your stomach. And I felt love again.
I gave him a little longer clip there. Just felt like we needed to get to that part.
Yeah, that was very moving.
So good. It's a moving song. Up against the Appleseed Cast from Two Conversations, the track Innocent, Violent, Ordinary.
No, there's more than one. No, there's only one. No, there's more than one.
You know, it's interesting. Manchester Orchestra is a little bit of an imperfect fit in this tournament, just like they were an imperfect fit in the post-hardcore tournament. It's like
they're a tough one.
They really defy genres. They're an indie rock band, but they're obviously also emo, and at times they're obviously also post-hardcore, but they really do, they move to the beat of their own drum, I guess, or however you want to say that. And so whereas that Appleseed Cast is that's emo. Like that's just like emo, full stop. I'm just like, all the guitar work, even the lyrics, you know, the kind of introspective relational stuff. It's different. There is a real difference between the two.
Yeah, I'm kind of dreading this decision right now. I was very moved by the Manchester Orchestra song, because they're one of those bands that, like, every time I listen to them, I'm like, why don't I listen to this band more? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what your relationship is with them, but I don't listen to them. But every time I do, I'm like, wow. And the guy's lyrics are unbelievable. And like his phrasing, the way he puts every line together, I think he's just amazing the way I was hearing that song. But Appleseed Cast, I mean, sheesh. I mean, Two Conversations is an album that I love a ton. So I don't want to do like the history thing, because I have more history with Appleseed Cast.
Right. Do you have a rubric though? Like oftentimes, I don't remember in the first part, like, you know, Joe, for instance, when we did the 90s alternative, he, you know, if it came down to it and he couldn't decide, it would be like, which of these feels more like alternative rock of the 90s to him? That's
interesting.
You know, like,
and
people have different ones.
Not Joe Rogan, but I do trust Joe from Joe Greenitz from Sherwood. So I'm going to just by like a little bit, and I'm going to choose Appleseed Cast. I think the song, I really like the song. I really like the album. And if we're going by that, I like that rubric. It feels a little bit more like what we're talking about. But
yeah, it's a little closer to the center of things.
The Manchester Orchestra song was awesome, and I need to revisit them, more often.
Let's talk about Appleseed Cast, that track first. So, I mean, what a great guitar riff, that that's just like, that is Midwest emo, bread and butter, chiming rhythmic guitars,
so good,
doing more patterns than melodies, always emotionally evocative. I mean,
it's a super interesting song. The guitar work is awesome, and I can tell that you're happy with the pick. It just,
I mean, I would have been fine with either pick.
This really is. And honestly, Appleseed Cast is one of these bands that probably it toes the line between your probably early emo tournament that you're going to eventually do, and then what we're currently talking about here. But nonetheless, I think the song squeaks by a little bit, and so good, so many cool. And kind of like the song we just talked about, like almost going back to the intro kind of riff. I don't know if that's the intro riff, but kind of returning to that before the next verse. I think that's really cool.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about Manchester Orchestra, that song. Like, first of all, the thing I wrote down when I listened to that song is that Andy, who's about my age, must have been maybe actually a little younger. He must have loved Bright Eyes as much as I did when I was in college. Like, you can definitely hear that influence peeking through. And then I got a little more reflective. Like, I don't know if you have an answer to this question, but when my primary identity was songwriter for the emo pop band Sherwood, now I would say emo power pop. I didn't use that language at the time. When that was like the main thing about my life that I thought was valuable and that was my identity, I think that who I wanted to be was Aaron Marsh from Copeland. Like, if there was like a type of songwriter I could have been that was different than the one that I was, which of course there were plenty I would have rather been than myself, I think I would have normally said Aaron from Copeland, maybe Jim Atkins from Jimmy Eat World. He was a little older, felt a little more distant. But I think deeper down, a lot of times, especially maybe in times of a little bit more depression or angst, I wanted to be Andy from Manchester Orchestra. That's what I wanted to make and how I wanted to be perceived.
Interesting. Yeah, I wasn't aware of them probably until pretty much the end of this day and age, and I know Sherwood went on for a couple more years, so maybe you're also referring to probably those years where we were just about to probably End and Manchester Orchestra was kind of really coming into their own. It's
Right.
funny because we probably have the same primary one, Aaron, and I got that comparison sometimes as a songwriter and as a singer. So I definitely kind of always thought, man, he's definitely the next level of what I'm trying to do. But no, I think that's good, and that's really good self-awareness. Yeah, Dave from May would probably also be in that realm, or like you said, even Jimmy Eat World to a much bigger level in my mind.
Yeah, dude. Well, okay, Manchester Orchestra, we love you. Apparently, they have continued to just like dominate indie rock
we
world.
gotta find
and
it.
they sell a ton of records or a ton of tickets rather, and like they co-headline with Jimmy Eat World, who are certainly a bigger band than them. They definitely have more Spotify listeners, but I think Manchester Orchestra just destroys live and have a real strong following. And I feel like I got to dip back in. I really. Jed from the post-hardcore and screamo tournaments convinced me to like go see them live next time I can. So that's on my list.
I've heard the same thing. I think I saw them once a long time ago. Speaking of jobs that you would do in between tours, I would kind of work local concerts in Buffalo and help bands load in and out. And I helped Manchester Orchestra and Brand New load in and out. And so that was kind of a pretty cool show, but that was definitely early on for them. I had no idea who they were. But no, this is good for both of us. We're gonna go back into the Manchester Orchestra catalog.
Yep. Okay. Next up, this is Jersey versus Long Island, or are they both Long Island? Taking Back Sunday and Saves the Day. Do you know? Are they both
think
Long
Saves
Island?
the Day is New Jersey, because I'm actually hearing some of the references in his songs, and I'm pretty sure it's New Jersey.
Right. You're right. So it's Jersey versus Long Island. There's something very appropriate about this. Now, Taking Back Sunday, pretty handicapped. They've been in multiple tournaments: Radio Scene tournament, Warped Tour 04 tournament, and post-hardcore. So we're getting, I think, kind of tier 2 Taking Back Sunday here, just so you know. And the track we're hearing now is This Photograph is Proof, in parentheses, I Know You Know.
So we're talking forever new. Almost feel better, but that is no excuse for tonight. You see, it's never bad enough to just leave or give up, but it's never good enough to feel right. Now I'm lying on the table with everything you said. It will all catch up eventually. Well, it caught up, and honestly, the weight of my decisions were impossible to hold. But they were never yours. They were never yours. Well, I know you know everything. I know you didn't mean it. I know you didn't mean it. I know you know everything. I know you didn't mean it. I know you didn't mean it.
Now, let me just say, YouTube viewers will be able to see this a little more clearly. There have been some weird album covers, and there are many weird album covers to come. But a naked baby reaching his hand out down a country highway, it's pretty fucking weird. I have no idea what they're going for here.
Going for. I'm a little upset by it now. Now that I'm thinking, now that I'm
Now that you're a father of children.
I don't know whose child it is, how they ended up on the album cover, who approved it.
Who's calling CPS?
Yeah.
I mean, what's up here? This is chaos.
I don't know what happened there. But it did when 23-year-old Jeff saw this, he was like, oh yeah, whatever works for them.
Okay.
Now
sure.
I'm not sure about it. And we can talk more about the song after. But album cover, I don't know.
Weird. I like a lot of songs on that record. I don't know that I like any of the songs on that record as much as I like this song, Freakish by Saves the Day from Stay What You Are.
So I'll go walking in the streets till my hands bleed, and I'll sing out my song, kiss the birds.
Wow, this is the second biggest Annihilation so far. Absolutely. You don't even. I'm not even going to say it. Just go ahead and just do it visually for our YouTube
viewers will have seen me put Saves the Day up there.
Close.
Yep.
That's one of the best songs on that Stay What You Are album, right? Maybe second or third, but maybe the second best song. I don't know. Maybe the first.
There's like 5
really close.
solid gold bangers on that record, so it's in there.
Yeah. And that Taking Back Sunday song, like you said, maybe they were a little handicapped with the Naked Baby album.
They were handicapped by being in 3 previous tournaments.
Great job,
sure.
guys.
Yeah.
You've been in many tournaments. They are, to me, and I think we had a little conversation. You thought maybe a little bit more post-hardcore. For me, in a lot of ways, they're like the center of the emo bullseye for like 2000, 2003. Just with all the way the singing and the parentheses and the call and answer and the
all the weird album, all the weird song titles,
and like
hyperliterate
titles and all that stuff. But no, they're a cool band. I did like the album before that. What is it? Tell All Your Friends. Tell
All Your Friends. Yeah,
Saves the Day. Wow, Chris just destroyed them.
Gosh, that chorus, man. I feel like that album is such a rocket ship step forward for Saves the Day. Like, what is the precedent for a New Jersey emo kind of post-hardcore former punk band for that? Like, where does that come from? Roy Orbison? Like, where the fuck did they come up with that?
Yeah, no, it wasn't,
you know what I mean?
It wasn't fitting into the, what was happening at the time, but it still worked so well.
No.
And Chris, if you listen to Chris talk,
works.
he's a different guy, and he does have a lot of different types of influences, and obviously his lyrics are always quite dark, and I think he's just an interesting songwriter, and I think he pulls from a lot of places. I mean, you get to the next album, and all of a sudden there's songs that sound like Beatles songs, Yeah,
that's what we're gonna hear next.
I'm so happy that they're going on to the next round. I love Saves the Day. I saw them many times live. I think they're one of my favorite bands from this era.
I mean, frankly, like, just looking at their songs, like, they could win it all. They could totally win it all, and that would be incredible because, just to double check here, they are the 24th seed out of 45 bands. So they're kind of right smack in the middle.
Right in the middle.
That's not awful, but they have 1/100th the listeners as Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco have. 1%.
See a Fall Out Boy.
Okay, so that means now we're saying goodbye to Taking Back Sunday. I feel like I've talked about that band a lot on the various tournaments, so don't need to probably belabor it. I really like them a lot in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Here's a band I really love, My Chemical Romance, going up against Cursive. This is interesting. One thing I forgot to say, too, on that Fall Out Boy track, I was comparing the use of strings in The Recluse by Cursive from part 1 to the use of strings in Thanks for the Memories by Fall Out Boy. And that was an interesting, maybe if people want to pull those up on the Spotify playlist, that might be an interesting A-B. I think I was a lot more into the way Cursive was using them, for kind of obvious reasons. But all right, My Chem, also heavily, majorly handicapped. They've been in 3 tournaments as well. And so we've heard a lot of their big songs already, and I try not to have these songs compete again. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll do like a year of Jubilee thing where like every 2 calendar years the slate gets wiped clean and everybody can have their big singles back.
That's hilarious. I love that.
Like my ancient Israel call out there. Okay.
I love anything. I love any Old Testament sort of call outs.
Naturally.
But yeah, and this is probably one of the bands that we also might disagree with on a little bit. So they're already also handicapped because of your guest. Wow. Okay,
so from My Chem we get the radio single Teenagers.
Because the drugs never work, they gonna give you a smirk, 'cause they got methods of keeping you clean. They gonna rip up your heads, your aspirations to shreds. Another cog in the murder machine. They said I'm teenagers scared the living shit out of me. They could care less as long as someone will bleed.
aims at the stick, you're never gonna fit in much, kid. But if you're troubled and hurt, what you got under your shirt will make them pay for the things that they did. They said, "Oh, teenagers scare the living shit out of me. They can care less as long as I wanna bleed. So darken your clothes, I'll strike your mind."
In the text of the song, is that person about to do a school shooting? Is that what you took from the lyrics?
I'm a little concerned about the lyrics, but I don't know what's happening. But yeah, now suddenly I'm thinking maybe. Do you know that? Are you
what
stunned?
You've got under your shirt sounds?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be about genitalia, but it sure seemed like it was about a gun.
Yeah. Are you stunned to know that I've never heard that song before?
I'm not stunned. No.
Okay.
It didn't penetrate as deeply as some other tracks on that record. You know, Welcome to the Black Parade and
sure.
Stuff like that. But I love the Black Parade album. It is definitely my favorite album of theirs. That song's fine. It sounds a little bit like theater kids who found the Halloween props closet to me, like as opposed to like, if you're in the mood for that, that's cool.
Yeah,
throw on Singing in the Rain or whatever. Throw on Nightmare Before Christmas. Sometimes that sounds good, but it doesn't reach the kind of like, I mean, I think that they reach almost like rock god status on parts of that album. And that track is not one of those. But anyway, this is up against a Cursive song from a record I don't know really at all, 2009's Mama I'm Swollen, and the song is called From the Hips.
We're at our best when it's from our hips. From our hips we don't give a shit. It just feels good and that's no sin. It's the only way to feel alive, the closest thing to being born again. And when baby comes, it's job well done. A roll in the hay, a roll around the sun. We're at our worst when it's from our lips. From our lips we caused a rift, and the world is falling in. From Babel to barroom brawls.
Interesting pairing there.
Yeah, Dan, I didn't really love either of those songs.
If you want, just to like get a clearer sense, we can do a rain delay and just get the next two songs.
Yeah, can we do that? I've always I've always dreamt of doing a rain delay.
Playing a rain delay card.
Yeah, and this seems like the perfect time since I didn't really like either of those songs.
Yeah, it is a perfect time, and we'll just say this will be our last matchup for today. We'll come back another time for part 3. Again, we're taking our time through this because this is our heart music. Okay. Rain Delay. So the next track we get from My Chemical Romance, this was also a radio single, and I think did really well like in the UK. And I like this song significantly more. It's called I Don't Love You. I don't know if you know this song either.
I don't. So let's hear it.
Sometimes I cry so hard from pleading, so sick inside of all the needless beating. But baby, when they knock you down and out, this is where you ought to stay. And after all the blood that you still owe, another time was just another blow. So fix your eyes and get up, better get up while you can. And would you even turn to say, hey, I don't love you like I did yesterday?
Pretty straight ahead rock song
Yeah.
up against something quite a bit more angular. Art is Hard. Cursive is taking us back to the Ugly Organ, that album that you and I know better.
Yes.
03, I think. And here's Art is Hard.
Oh, second verse, well, color meets fatigue. I'm hiding in the leaves, in the CD jacket sleeves. Tired of entertaining some double demeaning. A sauce of analogy, this drunken angry slur in 31 flavors. Gotta sink to swim. Immerse yourself in rejection. Regurgitate some sorry tale about a boy who sells his love affairs. Gotta fake the pain. You better make it seem you can break the leg. But when you get on stage and they scream your name, you gotta sink to swim. The person they crave the persist, 'cause we all know art is hard, but we don't know who we are.
You know what's so interesting?
Wow.
It's kind of like they traded places. Not traded places, because Cursive never does the kind of straight ahead rock ballad. But that song feels like it could fit on a My Chem album.
Yeah.
Like when they get into that kind of real angular, dark, theatrical kind of vibe with a lot of interesting.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Wow. I feel like I actually, for someone who's not a big My Chemical Romance guy, I thought that chorus was really good. I think that was I like that song. But I think I want to give it to Cursive by a little bit, because I just thought like the groove was so cool, and I was surprised by it, to be honest. I don't remember that album as much, because honestly I think I like the album, the one right before this,
Domestica or something like that.
Is it like Red and Black sort of?
I believe so.
Anyway,
yeah.
Like I know this album, but I'm not as familiar as the one before it. So anyway. Yeah, I think I'd give it to Cursive. You're not going to veto me, are you?
No, I'm not going to veto you. I think that's reasonable. And
I'm also dreaming of being vetoed too.
You can't wait. You're really excited.
No.
Let's talk a little bit about that My Chem song, and then we'll say goodbye to them, and Cursive will go on. So, people think of Queen and the Black Parade mostly via the lens of the Welcome to the Black Parade video, and the fact that Gerard had basically cut his hair very short, bleached it blonde. He's wearing this kind of the Black Parade like outfits are like this very almost like demonic Sgt. Pepper's like kind of like I don't know, colonial army. I don't know what the words are for this. It's this old like parade attire, but there's a lot of Queen going on. There's a lot of him kind of doing his Freddie Mercury, but this song also has some Queen bones. Like, there's in the chorus, there's like dueling, almost like these hard rock, like guitar parts under that big soaring vocal. Yeah. It's a different side of Queen. It's not the Bohemian Rhapsody side of Queen. It's like it's kind of like the We're the Champions side of Queen or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I think it works. I really like that song, but I get it that they didn't go on because they've just been. My Chemical Romance in the world of Pretty Good Vibrations is just like desperate for that year of Jubilee to kick in and have all their debts forgiven.
Well, the year of Jubilee is up to you. So you really make the rules.
Yeah. I am, in this case, the lawgiver, and I will choose on whom I will have mercy and respite. Okay, I feel like I'm getting a little too close to blasphemy here, so
just a little close.
I'm going to pull back from that cliff.
Just a little uncomfortable.
Slightly uncomfortable. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom, Dan.
Yeah,
okay,
thank you.
So, Jeff, we're going to pause again here at the end of part 2. This is so fun. Can't wait to keep going with you. Next up, we're going to hear the next 3 will be Coheed versus Jack's Mannequin, Jimmy Eat World versus May.
Wow.
And Sherwood sneaking ourselves in to face off against Brand New. So lots of fun stuff to come.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. This is so fun.
It's going to be great. Thanks for your time again, Jeff.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.